Welcome to No Tourists Allowed, a podcast where two recognized travel industry executives with a combined 69 years on the inside of travel and technology give up their secrets to the thing everyone wants to do. Travel better, pay less, and see more of the world. Enjoy today's episode.
Hello, I'm Mike Putman.
And I'm James Ferrara. And Mike, we're going to talk about a lot today. We're going to give up some secrets on Miami, maybe get a lawsuit or two from one of the hotels. But we also have a very special guest today.
Yes, we do. I'd like to welcome our podcast listeners to Mr. Marc Accetta. Marc is a notable global motivational speaker and world traveler, and a good friend. So welcome to the show, Marc.
Well, thanks, Mike. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, and where are you today?
I'm actually at home, which is a rarity. I live in Dallas, so I'm just running around doing errands here in good old Dallas.
Oh, good. So for our listeners, about what percentage of the time or how many days do you spend on the road per year?
Well, at the height of my traveling, I was probably only home about 70 or 80 days a year. It was kind of crazy, traveling to all 6 major continents. Now I'm probably on the road at least 125 days a year, something like that.
Yeah, so a little pullback in your older age, I guess.
Yeah,
good.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, good. So do you have any kind of idea of how many miles you have traveled over your lifetime?
Oh, absolutely. Just on American Airlines alone, I've done over 5 million miles. That's documented, actual miles flown. So with everyone else thrown in, I'd say it's a good 6 million.
Wow. And I remember the George Clooney movie. What was the name of that that he did?
Up in the Air.
Yeah. And he was celebrated for traveling his 2nd or 3rd million miles, if I remember right.
No, actually, Mike, I'm pretty hot on this. It was 5. So, like, when I hit my 5 million, I was ready for something to happen. And, I got a couple of extra upgrades, but other than that, there was no George Clooney treatment for me when I hit the 5 million miles. I was a little upset.
So they didn't come over the intercom and congratulate you?
No intercom. The pilot didn't talk to me. No cheerleaders, nothing.
And have they done it on any of your other milestones?
No. No. It was every million miles on American, they give you a couple of free upgrades. I know you know that. Anytime VIP upgrades. And they just did the same thing they do for the typical million miles. I know at 2 million miles, I think they give you lifetime executive platinum, but I've been fortunate to move up to concierge key with all I do with them. So, which is their highest level over the last couple of years. So it really is. That's remarkable. That's been the white glove service I'd never received from an airline before. So enjoying that status a lot.
And James is working on that for himself and me, hopefully, to get us there through some industry contacts. But we haven't been able to pull it off yet. Although I'm a very loyal American flyer. I've been executive platinum for 11 years, I guess, 12 years, something like that. But haven't made concierge key yet.
Yeah, I'm executive platinum out of a gift from the airline. I don't really qualify in terms of mileage, but we do a lot of business with them. Concierge key would be amazing. So my hat's off to you. I'll probably get it for me. I don't know about Mike.
We'll be ending this podcast if you get it and I don't, or you'll be doing it by yourself. So a little bit about Marc too, his background. So Marc, as I said, is motivational speaker, is that the right way to title you? I mean, that's the way I title you, but is that?
Yeah. I think that's a good overall fit. Yeah. I do a lot of obvious leadership, business training, personal development is probably the best way to categorize it, but motivational will work. I'll take any of the above.
Okay. And he does this all over the world with generally 1 to 3-day type meetings, and then a few 7-day meetings too, as well, right?
Yeah, we do. You know the programs well, my friend. I know we worked together for a long time. So, yep, that's pretty much the deal. We have 1 day, 3-day, and 6-day actually.
Okay. And just to give our audience a little bit of understanding, what kind of size audiences do you have typically? And I know it ranges, but what are kind of some of the typical?
Yeah, I mean, I would say over my career, the average is 2,000-3,000, and I do as small as a couple of hundred, but as large as 25,000. So I would say a very reasonable average would be about 3,000.
And I know some of those bigger ones were that you did were ones that I helped you with, so I can appreciate why you got bigger numbers there.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're a featured speaker, it drives the numbers through the roof.
Right.
That's arena size, right? I mean, you have to be in a big arena for that.
We were in big arenas most of the time, like, the Toyota place in Houston, the American Airlines in Miami. And the biggest one we ever did was actually in Cowboy Stadium, not the, the center there, but the actual football stadium. We took over about 25, maybe up to 30,000 seats in there. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a big audience. So share some of your adventures, Marc, as you've traveled the world. I know you've seen and done a lot of things. And what are some of the most important travel memories that you have?
Well, I'll tell you a couple things. First of all, I grew up in New Jersey, and everyone in New Jersey and New York always said, "Oh my God, don't go to Paris. Those people are so rude, blah, 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 blah." So it was about 45 years before I got to Paris, which is my favorite place in the whole world. And what I found out about the people in Paris is they're not rude. They just, if you don't speak English, they won't try to speak English to you. So Americans are so egocentric and think everyone in the world should do things the way we do it. So and the most ironic thing is, I don't know how much time you guys have spent in New Jersey, but, I think growing up there, maybe some of the rudest people on earth are in New Jersey.
Absolutely.
It's ironic that they gave me that advice. So, yeah, I'm a huge Paris fan. Actually, my daughter went to school in the south of France, and we've done events all over France. So I'm a big fan of France, Italy, really all of Europe. I mean, I think I've gone to about 75% of the countries in Europe, and just, a huge fan of that. Seeing professional sporting events all over the world. I've done that in Asia, South America, going to a football game down there is incredible. Real Madrid, live sporting events is something I love to do. I always eat local food. That's another thing. When I see any sort of an American chain or fast food somewhere, I run the other direction as fast as I can. And, it's just so cool to hook up with some local people and find out what they eat. And, I remember eating a durian fruit in Singapore. And when you check into an airport in Asia, you guys may have noticed this, it says the typical, they have the blocker sign through, no guns, no knives, and then it says no durian because the smell of this fruit is so foul. But if you actually can get past that and you eat it, it actually tastes good. But it's a very odd thing, you know what I mean? And to my knowledge, there's only a couple countries in Asia you can get that fruit. So that's the stuff I love the most, is just having really unique experiences and doing it, the way a person who lives there would.
Yeah, and I've been lucky or unlucky enough to have eaten durian with our mutual friend Monaco Perez, and and there's actually the most popular video that I'm part of on YouTube is me eating durian. So you can listeners, you can, if you're bored, you can go to YouTube and put in Mike Putman durian, and you'll see what it's like. But it is foul smelling, and the texture probably is worse than the smell. but it is
it really is.
delicious.
I got to tell you, Mike, what you mentioned, Monaco, my favorite video online is when we were on another Asian trip with James Lee. We got a salmon cheek, which was a delicacy. And with the salmon cheek, of course, comes the actual eyeball. So that's a big thing, whoever gets the eyeball. So he asked if I won. I'm like, no, I'm good. Monaco's like, I'll eat it. So he did, and that was the very first video I ever took on my very first iPhone. And if you really want to Google something, our boy, Monaco, trying not to vomit after he ate this is one of the funniest things maybe ever put on YouTube. It was pretty good.
Good.
Well, look, we espouse new experiences and trying something different. So that sounds like our kind of story.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So, Marc, what is your typical travel experience when you do one of these trainings? I mean, you're going to Australia, you're going to Asia, you're going to Europe, wherever. I mean, what's your travel experience like?
Well, I mean, Mike, it's my favorite part of it. You know, a lot of people would say, "Oh my gosh, you're on the road again. Oh, poor guy, you're never home." And I'm like, a lot of times I'd hit the road for 3 weeks and, maybe start off in Europe and then go to Asia and then on to Australia and then come back. And I mean, it just, truthfully, like being in these places, with Instagram now, everyone can see vivid pictures and videos of these places, but to actually be there and like to be all these places that we see so much more commonly now, or at least I see them more commonly than ever before. It's just too much. I mean, seeing an opera at the Sydney Opera House and, just, again, one of my favorite things to do is just walk around the waterfront area down there and just chill out and relax. It's so different than anywhere else in the world. You know what I mean? And that's Cape Town, South Africa. My wife is from South Africa, so I spent a lot of time there. I mean, I've never seen anything that's even remotely close to Cape Town. It's almost like a combination of being in San Diego with the Rocky Mountains surrounding you. And it just, again, like some of the restaurants and hotels there have the most breathtaking views I've ever seen in my life. The sunsets in Santorini, like, again, these are just like, I just encourage anyone who's never done these iconic things, like at least once in your lifetime or more, just the feeling of experiencing in person is just overwhelmingly incredible.
Yeah, it's certainly something you cannot replicate by watching a video or even virtual reality type application. Yeah. Well, cool. So, Marc, when you spend a lot of time in the air, of course, are there certain things like I've got certain things I take on every flight with me? Are there certain things that you just have to have on each flight?
Yeah, no doubt. I always have my Bose headsets, no matter what, and I keep my AirPods with me too. I kind of get on the plane with AirPods into my phone, do whatever I'm doing, last minute work. Then I put those away and throw in the Bose headsets, and I download my MacBook. I'm sorry, not my MacBook, but my iPad Pro is one of the things I can't travel without, which connects, of course, to the headphones. And I'm big on downloading. That's where I get to have some fun. I'm in front of people all the time. When I'm on an airplane, I don't want to think. I don't want to talk. I just want to get in one of those nice little pod seats and that's where I do my binge watching. My latest delicacy was blowing through Yellowstone, all 4 seasons on about 3 or 4 different international flights. I could just blow through them. So those 2 things are my absolute 100% go-tos. I carry, I always have stuff in my bag in case, I get a headache or something like that. It's just different, aspirin, or I can't think of the name of the thing I use, the little, not sinus tab, whatever it is, but I've always got that with me. I always bring, I usually travel in a t-shirt or a light shirt, and then I'll bring in my bag, I'll stuff in some kind of a sweatshirt because, as you guys know, the cabin temperature can vary rather dramatically, especially on from U.S. to Australia on a 16-hour flight. You may be freezing for 2 hours and then baking for a little while. So, having that extra layer of something has always been very beneficial to me. And I usually travel with like eye drops as well in case my eyes get dropped or dry during the trip. Or I think those are the main things that I make sure I've got with me at all times.
Cool. Do you have any? Do you have like a specific suitcase? I mean, like for me, I have one suitcase that I keep kind of halfway packed because I don't know when I might be heading out the door. And that is my go-to suitcase. Do you have a suitcase you keep like that, and is a specific brand or anything?
Yeah, I have the Toomey, their Mac Daddy one. It's the soft casing, but it's like a hard suitcase. But they have the metal one. I had the metal one for about a week and had to give it back. It just weighed too much. It was too cumbersome for all those international flights.
Yes, same for me. I mean, I've got I actually broke away from my Toomey and ordered one of these hard case. It was plastic. And I used it on this trip to Miami this week one time, and I just took it back to UPS to drop off to send it back because it doesn't work for me. And even though the Toomey is called an Alpha 2, I think is what you're talking about, the typical black one. It has some flexibility in it, so you can, if you go somewhere and you see something you just have to have, or you buy some more clothes, it's always nice to be able to kind of make that thing expand a little bit. And
look, you've got three probably of the most frequent travelers right here. And I agree. I need a soft-sided case to give me a little expansion room. But I am waiting for the ones that you can sit on and they have a little motor in them and you can drive them through the airport. I keep seeing commercials, but I haven't actually seen one yet.
Yeah, no, those look pretty cool.
Yeah, it was actually on my flight back on Sunday. I saw a kid and the mother was pulling them on one of those suitcases, same concept. And they're just getting off the plane and she's pulling the kid and the thing flips over and he hits his head on one of the railings that keep people separated while they're in line for the flight. So, James, I don't know if that'd be a good idea for you or not, but
I don't know. I could see you on that, Mike. Maybe we could race. We could go on a day trip and race. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. That'd be fun.
Cool.
But
I want to travel like they did in the 1920s. I want big Louis Vuitton trunks and a Sherpa to carry them for me. That's the way it should be done.
But I have traveled with both of you. I've traveled with both of you guys extensively, and you guys are talking about your rollerboards, but you both carry, jumbo check bags, with crazy amounts of that I would never do. But James,
I need shoes and suits and sport jackets and more shoes. I mean, I can't get away with a roll-on bag.
Yeah, that's funny. Remember when we flew on EasyJet, Mike? I'd never flown on EasyJet, and you had your carry-on, and I had a check bag, and you were nice enough to pick up our tickets, and then I had to check my bag, and the bag cost more than the ticket.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I still have a photo of you drinking wine out of one of those little wine bottles with a straw. That's actually, every time you call me, that's the picture that comes up, to be honest with you.
That was years ago. We were coming back from the south of France, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's right. We're Chateau Rubin. Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, I love it. You got to share that photo with me, please.
Oh, there's many photos I have of Mike that I'd love to share with the world, actually.
Well, we'll skip over that subject here for the moment. But so, Marc, what's your next trip? Where are you going next?
Actually, I leave tomorrow for Vegas and then fly on to Orlando. I have 2 brand new clients, so I'm going back to back. And then after that, I'm headed to Athens for a big event in November, so I'm excited about that. Love Greece. One of my favorite places.
Me too. Great food in Athens.
Oh,
good,
incredible food.
Good. And who's your favorite football team this week? College football team.
Oh, dude, you're so funny. I unlike you, I never switch. I'm an Alabama fan. My daughter went there. I paid $45,000 a year for the right of being an Alabama football fan, and I'm proud of it. It's interesting that when Clemson is good, you're from that Carolina. When they're good, you're back in North Carolina. It's interesting how that works.
Now, Mark never pulled for Alabama until they won a national championship. And
I like this guess.
That's not true. Until my daughter, I was not a college football fan at all. And then I got into it, and I'm telling you, I paid for the right. How much tuition money did you pay for Clemson, which isn't even in North Carolina? That's the answer to the question.
I'm not a Clemson supporter. I'm a Georgia supporter, and who happens to be number
one.
You're
a Clemson supporter when they're in the ironic thing is you're not unless they're in the championship game. Then all of a sudden you are. So.
I
get it.
All right, guys, let's bring this back to travel, shall we?
I'm sorry. Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Well, good. Any other travel hacks you have, Mark? Anything you do when you go check into a hotel? And by the way, James explained a couple of weeks ago that when he checks into the hotel, the first thing he does is ask the concierge to send fresh flowers up to the room, for which he pays for too, by the way. Which was really interesting. But anything you do when you check into a hotel room that might be a tip or a hack for our listeners?
It's a great question. I usually I unpack my bag right away and plug all the plugs in. Travel, with adapters. Again, with all the international travel, got to have the adapters that convert, because otherwise you're going to be stuck at the mercy of the hotel, or you're not going to be able to plug in. So, virtually every airport has got the ones where you can convert to virtually anything you have. That's a good thing to check before you're going to a country to see what kind of chargers they use. I would say that's my main deal. And yeah, I do use the concierge. I'll tell you though, for years I didn't use the concierge, and there's times now where I'll pick a specific hotel, one over the other, if they're about the same, based upon how engaged the concierge are. Because I found some of the very best restaurants, gotten great tickets to shows at the 11th minute in places like Broadway in London, strictly because of that. One time I got into in Tokyo. It was Jeff Wolf, our friend Jeff's birthday, and I wanted to bring him to the Jiro Loves Sushi place. I'm sure you've heard of that. It's a first 3-star Michelin sushi restaurant in the world. Couldn't get in there, even through the concierge at the Okura Hotel, but they got us into a place called Aragawa. So once they booked it, I did some Googling it. At the time, it was the most expensive restaurant in the world, according to Forbes. And to this day, like, of all the steakhouses in Dallas, which there's so many, all the best steakhouses, nothing is even 20% as good as Aragawa. It is freaking unbelievable. Would have never had it without the concierge.
And what was that tab, if I might ask?
It was expensive. It was for the 4 of us, so it was about, I guess, about $4,500, something like that.
Wow.
The steaks were $800 each. I remember that.
Wow.
I'm telling you though, we brought Monaco back there, brother. It's worth every penny. I know it sounds grossly overpriced. Everyone who loves steak should do that once in their life.
Well, you heard it from Mark.
I agree with you, Mark. Use the concierge is something we say here all the time. But of course, guys, even though the concierge is happy to just provide service, it is customary to take care of the concierge a little bit when they do something good for you, like find you a good restaurant, right? And then you'll find them very eager to take care of you again.
Yeah. Yes. No, and that's great that you say that, because it is unbelievable how many travelers wouldn't think to do. And I guess, I know myself when I was younger and didn't know, I just didn't know any better. But once you just give them, it doesn't have to be a gigantic tip, just showing some appreciation. They really do double down, like you said, on anything else you need the rest of your stay, or even remember you with future stays. It's awesome.
Yeah. Very good tip. To tip is a very good tip. Yes. Well, Marc, thanks so much. I mean, you've been very gracious with your time with us here on No Tourist Allowed, and I'm sure our listeners have appreciated some of your tips and your stories, and we'd love to have you back on a future podcast.
Yeah, I would love it. I think what we need to do, if I may be so bold, is to bring Monaco Perez. I mean, he's probably about 2 million lifetime miles, maybe 3. So I think, if you guys are up for that, that would be a very entertaining show.
Yes, it would be. Yeah, one of the funniest people on the planet, that guy. So, but thanks again, Marc, for spending the time with us. We really appreciate it and look forward to catching up with you in person soon.
All right. I look forward to it. Thanks for having me on, guys. It was a blast.
Thank you. Thank you, Marc.
Thanks. We're very happy to have Jessica Deverson with us again this week. Hello there, Jessica.
Hello there, guys. How are you?
Excellent.
And Jessica, of course, is the deal guru here at No Tourist Allowed. She does us the service every week of culling through all of the deals that come across her desk. Jessica's a travel marketing expert, and sort of curating for us the best of the best each week. So, Jessica, what did you bring for us this week?
Yeah, so I have 3 great deals for you. So we'll start with Southwest Vacations. And that's obviously Southwest is probably a familiar airline for everyone, but Southwest Vacations is a great vacation company that incorporates Southwest Air. And so right now they're doing an early bird savings event. So if you plan ahead, you can save up to $200 on your vacation when you book flights and a hotel package. And you can book that anytime between now and mid-November. You can travel anytime between now and April of next year. And, the destinations are the usual favorites, U.S. cities, Mexico, the Caribbean, Hawaii, and so on. So, but for that offer, you'll need a promo code. And so you definitely have to contact your travel advisor to book that early bird savings with Southwest Vacations.
Hey, Jessica, when I lived out west, Southwest, of course, was very important. The cost of airfare, as everyone knows on Southwest, can be very discounted. So the vacation package, when it comes together, usually represents a really great value. And one of the secrets living in Southern California was that Southwest Vacations was where you went to book your ski packages, your ski travel. So that's something everyone ought to look into. Now, of course, Southwest is strong elsewhere, not just out west. So if you live in a market where Southwest Airlines is a big player and you're a skier, I suggest you look into those ski packages.
Yeah, definitely. And now's the time to book that. Next up, we have another, popular name, that'd be Amtrak, but we're talking Amtrak Vacations, which includes obviously Amtrak Rail, and they're having a pre-Black Friday sale. So earlier and earlier every year, we're in October and talking pre-Black Friday, but it's great for you guys. It's great for the deals. So Amtrak Vacations is your one-stop shop for trips that include the rail, but then also hotel, sightseeing tours, meals, car rentals, and more. And when you book on an Amtrak train, it's so much more than just getting to your destination, just hopping on a flight or something like that. You get to stretch out, relax, and just watch the scenery go by. So it's a really great way to travel on rail. So with the pre-Black Friday sale right now, you'll save $300 per couple if you book 3 to 6 night vacation packages, $400 if you book 7 to 9 night rail and that rail packages, and then $500 you'll save for 10 night or longer rail vacation packages. And then solo travelers can also save too. Solo travelers will save anywhere from $150 to $250 per person, obviously depending on the length of the trip. And to receive this offer, you'll need to book through your travel advisor. They actually have to contact Amtrak Vacations. And this offer is available until November 22nd of this year, and tons of destinations to choose from here. So you'll have national parks, including Yosemite, Yellowstone, Bryce Canyon, Grand Canyon, Zion. You could do New England fall foliage, cross-country rail trips. There's one called the California Zephyr, and that's named by many as one of the most beautiful train trips in all of North America. And that goes from Chicago to San Fran. And then, just regional options as well. So the Northeast, Midwest, Pacific Northwest, and more. I actually took a up the coast one time. I did all the way from, I think it was LA or San Diego, I forget, in California. And I did a 2-week solo trip up the coast of California through Oregon and why am I blanking on the other state?
Seattle.
Oregon, yeah.
Well, Jessica, I think that this is very cool. We don't often talk about rail vacations, and Amtrak Vacations is part of a family of brands that includes Yankee Holidays and Rail Bookers. And so through those other brands, you even get into Canada and the UK and Europe, and some real specialty trains, like, as you mentioned, through the Rockies, through the Canadian Rockies, beautiful national parks in Canada. But you could fly to all of these places, between all of these places. This is a choice you make for a certain experience and a certain style of holidays. As you say, very relaxed, and you hang out in the lounge car or the bar car or whatever. And, the sort of, what do you call it? Street wisdom is that trains put you in a certain kind of mood.
What? Like a sleepy mood?
Well, maybe for you, Mike, but yes, trains make you a little romantic. What else you got, Jessica?
Let's move that right along.
All right. So last but not least, we have MSC Cruises. So MSC just named their very next ship, which is the MSC World America. MSC World America will actually call, and it's named such because she'll call the United States home when she debuts in 2025, as that ship will be dedicated to cruising the Caribbean. And her sister ship, the innovative MSC World Europa, beautiful looking ship, launches this December, actually. And then in other news, MSC was recently nominated for the Travel Weekly Reader's Choice Awards for Best Cruise Line Europe and Best Private Island. And their island is Ocean Cay MSC Marine Reserve in the Bahamas. And if you haven't heard of it, it's a beautiful destination with crystal blue waters and over 2 miles of beachfront. And Ocean Cay, that marine reserve, is founded on a commitment to ecological principles, and it shapes everything from how they build their venues to how they run the island to the kinds of activities they feature. So really cool private island if you haven't had the chance to check it out yet. And now they're up for an award. And right now, MSC has a really great offer, really, really good offer. So whether you're looking to take a quick getaway, a couple days, or a really long cruise, you can set sail with actually free balcony upgrades, plus up to $500 onboard credit. And on top of that, kids sail free. So really great deal right now.
That's a killer deal. And to get a balcony upgrade alone, that would be a fantastic deal, but also to get onboard credit and have your young'uns go free too. That's a heck of a deal.
Are you going to buy that too, Mike? I mean, every time we have a guest or an offer, Mike's out there buying it.
I haven't been to the MSC private island. And, James, we just got back from, and Jessica too, we just got back from the Carnival's private island a couple of months ago.
Which was beautiful.
Yeah, I was going to say, and if there's something better than that, I need to go check it out.
That was Half Moon Key, and we were all kind of stunned at how beautiful it was. MSC is the largest shipping company in the world because in addition to the cruise line we're talking about, they have a very big cruise business in Europe, and they have a shipping business on top. So the family that owns MSC really controls the largest shipping company in the world, even though the brand is still getting known here in the U.S. And a number of years ago, when they announced they were going to be rolling out 7 or 8 new ships and they were going to be spending billions and billions of dollars on all this hardware, I was a little skeptical, because, it sounds like a great plan, a little difficult to pull it off. Well,
to go from a shipping company to a passenger cruise line, the only thing in common is you're on the water.
They have been sort of stunning the industry with these ships. They're Seascape, and they're rolling out these beautiful, innovative, Italian design looking ships, and it's really quite something. So, and Jessica's talking about the latest one and still one to come. They really did pay off on that promise they made a number of years ago.
Yeah, I'd have to say it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, mass market cruise lines, and they do it. They do a really good job. Lots of very good service, very good food quality, and for our listeners, if you're riding down the road and you see a container truck that says MSC on the side, and I think their colors are typically kind of like a muted yellow. That's the same company. That's the shipping company. You'll see these containers all over the world.
And for a really discounted price, you can stay in one of them.
That's right. Yeah.
No. Listen, we were all together recently in one of the most popular destinations in the country, in the world maybe, and that's in Miami, Florida. Jessica and I attended an event followed by another event that Mike and I put together. So I was down there for a week. And we had some really memorable experiences. We started out at the new Nobu Hotel, which is within the legendary Eden Rock Hotel. And you probably know the hotel next door to the Eden Rock, the Fontainebleau. Back in the 50s and 60s, these were the places to stay. And both of them have had 9 lives, renovated and rebirthed and relaunched. And it's happened again. The Fontainebleau looks spectacular. I did sneak over there, Jessica, the last morning for breakfast and to have a peek around. And I must say, it is a world-class property. The Eden Rock, which contains Nobu, is more of a mixed story, isn't it, Jessica? I was hosted there, so I was given a rockstar suite called a Zen suite in the Eden Rock Tower, the original tower designed by Morris Lapidus and a landmark. But the whole interior has been redone in the style of a sort of Japanese spa with the Nobu brand. You have a separate check-in, and my room was spectacular. My bathroom was the size of a typical sleeping room, a typical bedroom in a normal hotel. So I'm not going to complain about that at all. I had a TV that kind of comes up out of the cabinet when you press a button. So I sat there and I made it go up and down and up and down. I was having a good time. And a wraparound terrace, really beautiful. But the rest of the hotel onto a new tower that's not the original tower is under the Eden Rock brand still. And I think we thought it needs a renovation. We thought that part of the hotel needs an upgrade and an update. Wouldn't you say, Jessica?
Yes, I would. Because my room with, no windows and no wraparound porch and no hidden TV was not quite up to your room standard. I will say the service is really great. All the staff and employees were really lovely, really helpful, so kind. So, yeah.
They told me that the elevators, which, are brass and steel, and they're the original elevators from the hotel. They told me they're landmarked, so they're not allowed to upgrade them and change them. And maybe that was true of your room too.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So you're saying I stayed in a landmarked room. Now I feel special and honored.
I had some criticisms of the service. marketed as a 5-star hotel. I didn't feel the service rose to that level at all. It's very limited in terms of food venues, and the ones that are there are incredibly expensive. So fair warning, the Nobu restaurant we ate one night is spectacular. I mean, you'll never get better sushi in the United States. It's really special. There are several of them around the world, Las Vegas, New York, the original, of course. But it is very dear. I mean, it is very expensive. And I felt the other venue on the property also very expensive, but not the Nobu brand.
Was that the Panda Express, the other restaurant?
It's an ocean, very lovely indoor-outdoor oceanside space overlooking the spectacular beach. That part of Miami Beach is really beautiful. So because these hotels were built 100 years ago almost, they have the best possible locations. So the restaurant was beautiful, but very much like a South Beach con sort of attitude where the bottles of water cost like what you think a steak should cost. And I thought the practices were a bit predatory and so on for normal customers. I thought it was really out of line. So I'm not a big fan, right? Love the feel of the Nobu side of the hotel, but overall, not a big fan. And when I compared it to the property next door, the famous Fontainebleau, which now is a brand, by the way. The newest hotel in Las Vegas will open next year, a mega resort called the Fontainebleau. So they've turned it into a brand. And I thought that was far more impressive. And you can see the money that's been put into that property. That property has had a complete facelift. You don't recognize it as a property that was built 80 years ago. It looks brand new and very impressive. Now, we moved on from that. Mike and I had other business, and since we weren't being hosted, we looked for a real value in South Beach, which can be hard to do. And I'm going to leave the rest of this story to Mike.
Yeah, so I wasn't part of that first part of the trip, unfortunately, but we did have an offsite meeting in South Beach, and so I was looking for a place in South Beach that was, maybe a little bit outside of the action, but not too far away, and but looking for a good value. So, and of course, good value and cheap are not the same thing. No one wants to stay in a cheap hotel, right? But people want to stay in a hotel that's nice, but yet is a good value. And that is exactly how I would characterize the Kimpton Palomar at South Beach. It's on Alton Road, which it's in Miami Beach. You've got the beach on the east side, and on the west side, you've got the
bay.
The bay, yeah. And so this is a little bit closer to the bay side, and but a beautiful property. And Alton Road kind of runs into Lincoln Road. And for those of you who've been to South Beach, probably know Lincoln Road is a very popular road that runs east to west and has like tons of shops and restaurants and bars. It's a
pedestrian mall now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So very, very convenient to that. But I went as we were looking for hotels. I went to one of my travel club sites that I power, or my company powers, and we found this particular hotel, which is normally $300 a night plus tax. We ended up having it for $115 a night. So got a very good price for an excellent hotel. It's a modern hotel, very small lobby, but was connected to a great restaurant that we had a couple of meals there. And
called Morini, an Italian restaurant, which we loved. I mean, the food was really good and lots of outdoor space, right?
Yeah, it was great. And the rooms were modern, well appointed, very well appointed and spacious. It was a great property. Yeah. I would recommend it to anyone, and especially if you're trying to get out of that. I mean, it's great to be in the middle of all that stuff, but in South Beach, it can get a little hectic. A little.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, first of all, we should clarify for everyone, there are no paid endorsements on this program. So this is us just being real with you about our travel experiences. We have no benefit to talk about a particular hotel, good or bad. We receive no payment, no special anything. This is just us sharing with you. But Mike, I was a little suspect when you came back to me with that rate. And I looked at where the hotel was. I thought, oh gosh, this is going to be a Mike Putman production, and I'm going to wind up in some scary part of South Beach. And in fact, I was dead wrong. You're right about the location. It is on one end of the Lincoln Road Mall, just not the busy end on South Beach, like by the Shore Club. It's the other way. And yet you walk out the door of the hotel, you're at the Lincoln Road Mall. And so there's plenty to do, plenty of restaurants and all that. There's also a part of Miami, of South Beach, that I had not visited before, Sunset Harbor, which is a couple of blocks away. So we, in a memorable part of our stay, I decided we should take some of the complimentary bikes from the hotel. And we went on a bike ride. Mike, myself, and our chief information officer from IntelliTravel, we went on a bike ride. It was a pretty short bike ride to a long, boozy dinner, but it was a bike ride. And we went over to – we burned some calories.
Yeah.
We went over to this area, and it was really beautiful. Shops, stores, restaurants. We had a tapas dinner. But what I want to say about the hotel is it's really designy, right? Even from the outside, look at the facade of the hotel, and they purposely went for a high style look to this hotel. And then once you get inside, all the furniture, the decor, it's really good. It's really thoughtful. It's kind of artful because of this part of town that you're in. They decided to go in that direction. There's a rooftop pool and cabanas. I mean, it's a surprising hotel in a surprising part of town. It's right on the canal that connects the bay to the ocean, actually. So little boats are going by. There are all these outdoor spaces and lounges where you could hang out. I'd say it was a find. And it was a find at the regular rate, because even the regular rate is something quite a bit less than staying on Ocean Drive or in the Art Deco district, which is what everyone thinks of when they think of South Beach. And yet you could bike over there or even walk over there or take an Uber or whatever. But it's a fraction of the cost. Then on top of it, Mike's inventory and technology. And by the way, IntelliTravel uses some of the same. So I found it at IntelliTravel at the same rate. That made it just a downright steal, really. I've spent $500 a night for a basic room in South Beach. And even where I was at Nobu, a king room at Nobu for the extra night that I was going to add on was $500 a night. So for what, 25% of that, you could stay and have the kind of experience we had at this Kimpton Palomar. So then we went out to dinner quite a bit. Jessica, you got out to something interesting.
Yeah, so while I was on at the conference in Miami, I was invited by Celebrity Cruises to experience the South Beach Seafood Festival, which I've never done. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of seafood, but I'm definitely a when in Rome kind of person. So I was there. I tried my best to try everything. Whether I liked it or not was a different story. But the Seafood Festival was really interesting. There was like 10 seafood categories, from ceviche to tacos to surf and turf to sushi, and so on, and up to 10 categories. And in every category, they had 2 stellar chefs in that category from the area, from South Florida. And each you went to each booth and you tried everybody's different specialty dish, and then you got to vote based on what you liked in that category on all 10 categories. So needless to say, there was a ton of food, a ton of wine, a ton of tequila, and it was right on the beach. And it was a really great experience, very fun. I highly recommend it. And it was actually a Friday night before the festival started for the weekend. So it was kind of a VIP event that you can book ahead of the seafood festival weekend. So really fun experience.
That was right on the beach off Ocean Drive, right? I saw all the tents on
They were
the
in
beach.
the girls in heels and everything.
Now, I went out one night to one of my favorite places in Miami, which is called Juvia. And Juvia is a rooftop restaurant / nightclub. And the food is Peruvian Asian fusion. So very Miami, getting into all these creative fusion cuisines. And it's full of beautiful people. And as the night goes on, it really turns into sort of a bumpin' nightclub up on the roof of what I think is a parking structure, but really splashy top end South Beach. And that's right on Lincoln Road Mall. And another night I went to what I think is my favorite restaurant in Miami, and that's My Bazaar. And it is the famous chef Jose Andres. You may see him. He's the one who, when there is a natural disaster in the world now, he and his team mobilize, and within 24 hours, they are at the site. They're in that country where there's an earthquake. They're in Puerto Rico feeding people after the hurricanes. He's amazing. And his restaurants are also amazing. And My Bazaar has 2 sides to the menu. One is traditional Spanish tapas, and the other is creative contemporary tapas. So, for example, there is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on the creative side, but it's made with foie gras and all kinds of interesting ingredients, very upscale. The food will blow you away. It's full of chemistry and magic and overflowing with smoke and beautiful presentations in a really beautiful room at the SLS Hotel on the beach at South Beach. So really fun. And Mike, we even got you out to eat. We had a tapas dinner one night. We had some Italian food.
Yeah, and then we went to actually my favorite restaurant in the world. It's not the best restaurant in the world, but it's my favorite one, and that's Joe's Stone Crab, which is at the very southern part of South Beach. It's on First Avenue, I believe, as a matter of fact, and legendary restaurant that's been open for, I don't know, 80 years or so, and just great service, really good food. And when you go to a place and all the waiters are 50 years old or plus, it's got to have some good service. And the restaurant only opens about, I think it's 8 months a year. So they just opened back up for the season on October 14th. So we were in there pretty early and had a wonderful meal and some nice wine and just a great evening.
Of course, a restaurant called Joe's Stone Crab is famous for stone crab claws. And they were pretty amazing. They come in like different sizes, jumbo, colossal. They're pretty pricey, like getting lobster, I guess. But there's only a few places where you can get the real thing and where it's fresh. And we were very happy with with Joe's Stone Crabs.
But it's nowhere near the price of lobster. It's about triple of what you think a good lobster meal might cost. It would be about 3 times the amount. So, and I do like it much better than lobster to be honest. I think it's much tastier, but a great experience.
Mike liked it so much he brought some crab claws back to his hotel mini fridge.
I did. James, as typical, over-ordered. I told him to stop ordering stuff, and he just kept going. And so I went home with about $150 worth of stone crabs in my mini fridge. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so that's a little bit of Miami. Please take away from this that sometimes when you go to a destination and there's a sort of crowded version, look for the other versions, right? Look for the neighborhoods you haven't explored yet. Look for sort of alternative places to stay, and you might find an incredible alternative way to experience the destination. That's what I feel about the way we visited Miami.
Yeah, it was great. Fantastic experience. I do want to remind our listeners, we do have a contest with the trip to Florida, as a matter of fact. So if you go onto our site, No Tourist Allowed, and you scroll down to the bottom, you will see a section where you can enter our prize giveaway, and we're giving away 3 nights at a Universal resort in Orlando, Florida. So there's lots of ways to increase your chances of winning, like sharing No Tourist Allowed with your friends, subscribing to the podcast, and also answering our mystery question of the week, which James is getting ready to tell you about. James, what is our mystery question of the week?
Our mystery question of the week is, what is the name of the hotel within the hotel at the famous Eden Rock in Miami Beach?
All right. Hotel within a hotel at the Eden Rock in Miami Beach. So we just spoke, James spoke about that just a few minutes earlier. So hopefully you guys are listening. And if you'll go to notouristallow.com, scroll down to the bottom where the giveaway section is and enter your correct answer along with your email address, you'll get 5 additional entries into the contest. So, do that to increase your odds, and we'd like to thank you very much for listening in today, and please tell your friends about our podcast if you like it, and if you don't like it, don't tell anyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to No Tourists Allowed. No Tourists Allowed was produced by the Greenville Podcast Company. See you next week for another episode.